welcome to episode 7, the Locker Room Life podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Frank, my boy Logan, on the ones and twos, getting her ready for another episode. But more importantly, Logan, playoff hockey in full bloom. Jesus, so many things happening. Where do we even start? But I don't know. I want to throw it around. I know there's a lot of things going on in life. I want to go through, talk about, and then we can dive into the NHL happenings. What's up, buddy?
Nothing, man. Just finishing up finals week here at school. A little congested. Got some allergies this past week here in the wonderful, wild state of West Virginia. But yeah, it's been crazy past couple of weeks. The company, we're rolling out our next SKU. Probably when this comes out, we'll be rolling it out potentially. If not, whatever. But double wide clear is now going to be on the website, www.bestdamntape.com. Get some double wide clear, best clear in the game. Also just won a pitch competition for the company again. 21,000 for the boys. It was a great time. Awesome networking. Just such a cool and shout out to Ignite West Virginia. Shout out to WVU. You guys are the best. And yeah, just a pretty fun, eventful next weeks, and then pitching to some pretty big companies, pretty big retailers in the next few months. Got some pitch competitions, building the company, having some fun summer initiatives, and school's out. So we're ready to rumble. And I know Frank has been soaking up the nice Arizona weather when I have just got it in the past 3 days. He's been doing it for a while. So what's up, bud?
Scorching weather, bits and pieces showing its little face around. One day it's 85 degrees. The next day it's 110. You're like, ooh, I remember this. But no, I say it all the time. A lot of people say, oh, living in Arizona. And don't get me wrong, the summer months are crazy. Probably 3 to 4 months are nuts. But every other time of the year, it's really beautiful here. The winter months are really nice. Just being able to get outside and do stuff and see Arizona, being able to hike, do a lot of things outside. That's the one downfall of it in the summer. I love being outside, but you just can't, man. You're going to die out there.
It's hell. It's terrible.
You're like, I love being out here, but I'm going to die. Just getting used to scorching weather around the corner, but a lot of things going on. We're growing Buddy Hockey Club as well, so things are going on that level. Getting ready to drop a new collection here in the next couple of weeks, so we'll keep everybody updated on that and what to look out for. But buddy, playoff hockey, we have to go through it.
Man, oh man, oh man. I was waiting for this. We were talking a little bit on the pre-recording of this, and I'm so glad it didn't come up. But holy shit. Oh my goodness. The Toronto Maple Leafs are an absolute wagon right now. I don't like to jinx anything because they are the Hall of Fame choke artists, but they may have a chance. They may have a chance. That was dominant, man. That first round was dominant against Senators, who are a pretty damn good team. They're gritty. Those guys are gritty. And Maple Leafs are the exact opposite of just mostly pretty. And then it was and Battle of Canada, always such a Battle of Ontario, such a good. It's so amazing. It's the best.
Yeah, man. Toronto, their Achilles heel has always been toughness. They've got knocked a little bit about or overall team toughness, so that's always been something that's a point of contention. But Berube was such a great hire for them, being able to have that mentality he did a couple years ago with the Blues, bringing them all the way back.
Of him on the bench on the first goal when the coaches said, "Gun up!" Oh, yes, and he was, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
He's like, "You've been there before, buddy. We don't do that." See his face just cower down. I saw a couple of memes of that. I'm sure you saw the same ones. I saw a couple of memes where it was, you get caught by your teacher in the middle of class. So I think it was epic to be scolded.
You're 100% right. Ruby's one of those guys he's the man. He's a really, really good coach. That St. Louis team, that was back-to-back, right? Or no? Yeah. No. Patty went back. Sorry, Big Rig. I was thinking Big Rig went back.
Your boy Big Rig.
Yep. Yeah, with the Lightning. But that Blues team, they were talented. Don't get me wrong, but not, I don't think, winning the cup. But Ruby is a man.
Yeah, there's so many different things, especially with the coach's voice. We always kind of hear it and know it, especially in any sport. a coach's voice is so valid for a small period of time. Again, we talked about it before. Somebody, Paul Murray, stepping away from the Jets at the time when he did, and eventually going to Florida. But I do really feel like there's a shelf life for a coach's voice. It just resonates a lot heavier and a lot higher once it's fresh. But with Toronto, especially, you guys that were on that team last year, and him being able to really bring that grittiness to the forefront, such as somebody, look at Domi, Max Domi. He's somebody that had been in that lineup, and he's a bottom six guy, but to just see him and the role that Brewery's empowering him to be himself, and that grittiness, that's him as a player. So that embodies playoff hockey. So just being able to see him bring a lot of those elements out, just, I don't know, man. The Leafs.
No, you're right on that. And before we get off that, I wanted to say the coaches thing with the voice, and that was a big thing with Sullivan. I know it's outside the playoffs a little bit, but Sullivan's there for forever. He was there for a long time. And that point is perfect, spot on. He's going to the Rangers.
Yep. Signed a pretty big ticket. They're saying it's one of the biggest coaches' contracts ever.
He's a dog.
If not,
he's a great
forever.
coach. He's an amazing coach. Really one of the more, I know you see a lot of things. Everyone sees a lot of things about NHL coaches. They're psychos. Don't get me wrong. But Sullivan's pretty laid back. He's a very lax guy. And I'm interested to see with all the stuff going on with Panarin right now, how he's going to deal with that category when he gets to the Rangers.
Well, Sullivan, too, what he does well is he trusts the leadership group of the veterans that are in that room. He did it with Pittsburgh. He respected Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin's control over that room, and he respected their seniority. And that's huge, especially with a player's respect, to be able to say, okay, you trust us. And those are the most successful coaches. Cooper does a really good job of it. And for the Lightning, that's why he's the longest tenured coach. He respects the people in his room. He knows his personnel. He knows exactly what buttons to push.
Kucherov, you can't say anything to that guy. He just running right out the other.
He just goes. Let's do a quick glaze over the other series. Vegas taking down the Wild.
Back to my opinion.
Yeah. I think Vegas has had a couple early exits, but this year's they're poised for another huge run. The Wild had these weird moments. They were pretty strong, and then they took a complete nosedive, and then they kind of were peeking their way out.
They've done that all year. They started out the year very, very strong. They were number one out of the gates, and then it was just a sink for a little bit. So they just seem to work on their consistency. Their youth coming up through there. Boldy is an absolute dog. Going to be one of the best defensemen or forwards in the league. And it's just their team is phenomenal when it comes to their young core. And then if you move, and Vegas is grizzled too. They have bets on their team.
Also, never undermine the heart of a champion, right? I do believe that in any sport, but you can never count out a team that's won it or has some guys that were part of a winning team.
Yeah, and a lot of the same guys. They have a lot of the same guys on that team. And then Fleury, with that series coming to a close, Fleury, one of the GOATs, just unbelievable human. He's amazing. I love Marc-Andre Fleury. I wish him the best in retirement. Seriously, he'll go down in the Hockey Hall of Fame for sure. He's
such an example of a guy that did it right on all levels. He had fun every single day. He respected his teammates. He was a great teammate, and it showed you can still be a great player, have a great career, and still have fun doing it.
Yep.
It's just to have one of the best guys in Sidney Crosby co-sign you as one of the best pranksters in the league is a pretty heavy honor to carry. But Flyer's amazing, man. He carried the load of a first overall pick back in the days when goalies were being picked first, which is nuts because that was just. He lived up to it. Yeah, he deserves all his, no pun intended, flowers for everything that he gets in retirement. I could see him I would love to see him in some capacity with a team or just being able to be part of an organization. He could be great on the player advisement side, just being able to coach players through the ups and downs of a season, how to negotiate the obstacles of a season mentally and physically as well. So I'm hoping to see him back in the league in some capacity after he takes some time.
Yeah,
vacations and looks back on his amazing career. But buddy, the next one, the King and the Oilers. Good Lord. My buddies, the Zambonis, the diehard Kings fans. And I said it early on. I said, these Kings need to bury these Oilers as soon as they can, because the Oilers have a funny dynamic in their team. They had a lot of guys that had been sitting out, and you could tell every game they're getting better. Yeah, they were still losing, but you could tell they were starting to figure it out, and they ended up going on a little run and just knocking the Kings out. I don't know. What's your opinion on the Kings? Are a weird team to me. I feel they always make these moves in the offseason, which look to solidify, I guess you could say, their depth. There's guys playing a little bit above their pay grade. Fiala's one of them, had a huge season. Kempe's the man, sniper. Byfield.
Kopitar is genuinely one of the most consistent players in the league for forever. He is unbelievably consistent, and it's crazy. People overlook it so much because he's just not flashy at all. He does the right things everywhere. He's basically never on a goal for against. He's unbelievable when it comes to playing the game correctly.
Hall of Fame, no doubt, when it's all said and done. That he's another piece of the pedigree in regards to Dustin Brown did it after he retired. Just an ultimate professional, play all the way through his contract, and then walk away and just say, you know what, I did everything I could for this franchise, which they did. Doughty's part of that group as well. I know Jonathan Quick was a big piece of that core. So those core guys, when I was living in LA, that was a big, seeing those guys in there and what they were able to do for LA was amazing. But
I know LA. My dad played against LA Kings legend Rob Scuderi.
Yep.
Played against him in the Met. No, yeah, the Kings are always interesting to watch. Like you said, they really do lean into the depth. Oilers, not going to lie, their goaltending is absolutely pitiful. If they don't pick a goalie in the first round next year, I have no idea what they're doing. Oh my goodness, man. It's rough. It really, really is. Because Connor McDavid's the best player in the league by a landslide. He's just phenomenal. His team is not the best in the world. And he's got Leon. Leon is basically his Pippen to his Jordan, and it's just interesting. And they're so tough to watch sometimes, dude. They're such a weird team to watch. One night they're on it, and the other night they're just in la la land, and it's interesting. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what all those big players end up doing at the end of their contracts. Bedard, McDavid. I know Matthews probably going to be in Toronto forever. He signed a big one, but it's wild. It really is.
There comes a time, too, where even with McDavid, how spectacular a player is, all the individual accolades, and he's getting to that point of his career where all the individual accolades don't mean shit anymore.
He just wants to win.
Another Hart Trophy, another most valuable player, another Rocket Richard, it doesn't mean anything to him. At the end of the day, your career is based on the titles that you win. That's what it's crazy to think, again, with Ovi even, that cup means the world to him, but also to his legacy, right? Yes, he would be the greatest scorer of all time, but you know what people would always be saying because they're knuckleheads? They'd just be like,
won a cup.
He never won a cup. He never won a cup. And that's in any sport. And again, sometimes it's situations out of their control, team dynamics, it's the draft system. We could go on and on about it, but I feel that somebody, McDavid, the franchise has to respect the fact of where he is to say, you know what, we owe you the fact to go and try to chase the title and try to win. And I really think that time's coming sooner rather than later.
I agree. It'll be a blockbuster trade, bro. It will literally be LeBron to Miami. It will be one of those things. It would be the craziest shit ever when that happens, which I do think is going to happen. I completely agree with you.
Canes, the Caniacs,
bro.
The Caniacs are buzzing right now.
They're a fucking wagon. They are sick. They're sick to watch. They play the game right. Brendan Moore is an absolute hell of a coach. I don't care what anyone says. Just one of those really, you don't really see it much where very, very good player comes into a head coaching position and is another amazing coach. He's phenomenal, and he is attested to that for sure. And just the culture that they have there, they play for each other. Those guys are absolute dogs. And honestly, shout out to Jackson Blake. That he's kicking ass. He's in my opinion, probably one of the best 04s my age in the league, if not the best in the league right now. He's unreal.
Yeah, Carolina, we all know that their number's been up for a couple of years now, but Brendan is one of those coaches. He's a lot Uribe, right? He's not going to ask you something that he wouldn't do himself, and you earn your playing time with him. Once you get in there and he sees you're working your bag off, he's going to give you the ice time to succeed. And that's, again, to Jackson Blake, that's a hard lineup to crack. Aho's a stud. Jarvis is a fucking beauty. I love Jarvis.
Jarvis is a dog.
But he's just one of those guys too. You could tell it's what the game's about. He's having fun. He's a new generation player. He's not taking this shit too seriously. But when it's game time and it's crunch time, he's getting in there. Svechnikov has had a back and forth type season. It's weird. Last season he was a beast. This season a little bit more moderate numbers, but again, turn the playoffs, turn it up. Their backhand's good. Slavin, the
don't
man.
even get started. Slavin and Burns as a duo.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Devils are just, I can't even want to. Man, it's tough. It is just very, very tough out. And it just didn't help with all the injuries on top of it. Without those guys, I don't mean to be that guy, but it's practically nothing over there. And those guys are their offense and defense drivers of literally everything that goes on there. So it's a hard hit to take, but they didn't perform once they left.
All right. Last but not least, the 2 game 7s. First off, Jets and Blues. Buddy, I have to talk about, everybody's talking about Connor Hellebuyck. And I called this. We can go back through the tape where I said the Jets are fakers because Hellebuyck this time of year completely falls apart. And here we are. Back to game 7. And at the point of this recording, we're recording on the 3rd, and they just played game 6 yesterday. Was it game 6? Yes. And Hellebuyck let in 5 goals that were questionable, and now they're reeling. Thank God it's in Winnipeg. Will they pull it off? I don't know. We'll tell you next time we're on. But
dude, the Blues,
but the Blues have some studs. Robert Thomas, Kyrou, really neighbors, and also Snuggerud jumping right out of the college.
They're not the Jets. No.
They aren't. They are not the Jets. But in the playoffs, you know this. Anything can happen. You get in the playoffs, and in one game, if one team can believe in themselves, and Monty's got the boys, Monty's got the Blues.
Who would they play?
Isn't it Vegas?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought it was Vegas, and then the winner of Oilers and Kings goes to play Avalanche and Stars.
Yeah.
Either of those teams, that's a tough challenge in Vegas.
Who do you got? Let's just fire it. Who do you got to win this one?
I'm pulling for the Jets. Gotta hope Hellebuyck does something.
I want the Blues to win, but the Jets will, only because they're playing at home. There's going to be enough juice rolling through that building where they're going to pull out the dub.
Going to be sick.
But I can tell you this. I'm predicting it now, and I could get mutilated later on for it. If the Jets even get by this round, they're going to get bounced in the next. That's my honest opinion. Next, game 7. This one was projected to be a battle from the get-go and was going to go the distance. Stars Avalanche. So many key things going on in here. At the beginning of the series, we all knew the key injuries that the Stars had. No Heiskanen, no Robertson. Literally got hurt in the last game of the season, so it makes coaches question if they're going to be playing players through all the way through the end. But they're still hanging tough. This has been a battle the whole way through on the Avalanche side.
I can't believe it's an Avalanche are in a game 7 with them, to be honest. That's where my head's at. I can't believe that's the case right now. The Avalanche are, any way you look at it, the Avalanche is just top. However many players are amazing. Their first 2 lines are unreal. And the dynamic of Taze and Makar is unbelievable as well. Goaltending's decent. Nothing crazy, but it's not nothing to shy away from. They're doing very good. And yeah, the Stars, just that, really the injuries. If it was full Stars, full Avalanche, I mean, it's one of the best series right now, but it would have been the best series to start the playoffs if they had their full roster, everyone going at it. I feel it would have just been crazy, but who knows? The Stars could have blown them out now with now being in game 7. But yeah, so interesting. And there's been, it's so weird to look at because there's goalie battles. There's some guys who are standing on their head right now and not really guys you would have thought of. And then there's basically the GOAT of goalies for the past 5 years is doing what he does every single year and when he gets to the playoffs. And it's just, I expected something different this year. I was not you. I expected something different and it was going to change, but not the case.
Yeah. And Landeskog's story, the hockey world wants and loves to see him succeeding. What a journey. I couldn't even imagine. I'm rusty after not playing crusty beer league for 2 weeks. And you're talking 3 years, the highest level. I really appreciated him being pretty transparent about his headspace on where he was at this point of his whole journey and trying to come back. He wasn't sugarcoating it and being, oh yeah, I've been there and yeah, I'm the captain. I'm just still trying to get the guys going. I thought he was really super candid, which I appreciated, in saying, I don't know shit about this right now. I don't even know anything about myself right now. I'm still trying to figure out if I could do this, if I want to do this. And I'm so happy that he was able to make his way back, just to have him back in the room. And he's a player, man. Could you imagine? He comes back, has a couple of conditioning games over with the affiliate, and he comes back and he pots one. So just to have that energy, him getting active again with his voice and being able to lead the guys. Neckish is an amazing ad for them. The Rantanen, funny how it's Rantanen against the Avs. So there's a lot of cool storylines within this series, and we're going to bring it to you next pod, doing the full recap. So can't wait for this one, boys. But Logan, you want to talk about who we got on the show this week?
Yeah, another banger of an episode. This will be our first player, correct? Big player. He's the captain of Ohio State and NCAA Division I men's hockey. And now he plays for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins in the AHL. Scooter Brickey. He's an absolute amazing dude. Just a great human, great hockey player. And I'm just so pumped for you guys to hear this. He has some super cool insights on just kind of his journey, which was crazy interesting, and just kind of the state of hockey right now we always touch on. And it's I know that me and Frank both really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, it's amazing for him to take the time mid-season. It's even better that he got gashed at practice when we interviewed him. So what a fucking warrior. Just such a great guy in regards to telling his story about all the steps, all the phases that it takes to be somebody that's right at the doorstep of cracking the NHL, one of the most historic franchises in the NHL right now, with the biggest legends, Sidney Crosby, Malkin. We talked about them earlier, but he tells a really cool story about when he was out there in training camp. Again, it's really amazing to hear the perspective of a player who plays at the highest level at every level, because he's no different than any of us, right, guys? The hockey journey is the same. There's things that are amazing about it, and you see the end result, but there's also a lot of struggle in there. There's a lot of times where we want to give up. There's a lot of times where the shit just doesn't make sense anymore. And it's amazing to talk to players that are actively just pushing through and having great careers, because we hope, and Logan and I, we just want to make sure that we're always preaching the message that it's not easy. The journey in anything isn't easy, and being able to push through, be consistent in everything that we do in life, that is just amazing to see that guys are just doing it at the highest levels. Scooter, you're the man. Can't wait for you guys to hear the episode. And yeah, hope you guys like it. Episode 7, Locker Room Life Podcast. Scooter Brickey.
Boys, welcome back to the Locker Room Life Podcast. Here with my great buddy Frank. As you all know, we see him every time. And here with my great friend Scooter Brickey, former Ohio State captain, former Western Michigan alumni, former Des Moines Buccaneers alumni, and now he's big time in the AHL with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. We're super, super pumped to have him on the podcast today. The first player.
Happy to be here, guys. I appreciate it.
But maybe a good place to start is, what happened today?
Yeah.
What happened today?
Bad thing, dude. It was an optional skate, too. Just go out there trying to get better, and went around and kind of go behind the net. Deflection right to the face. I was out there for not even 5 minutes.
Logan said 9 stitches?
5 minutes. Yeah, I got 5 on the outside and 4 on the inside, so.
Jesus.
Looking good.
Well,
tough day. Tough day. I said I got an important podcast to go on, too. I got to make sure this doc fixes me up right. Make me look okay on camera, so here we are now.
But appreciate you. So I guess a good place to start is just the season. How's it going? Second place. You guys are buzzing. What's the moves? What's the feeling in the room right now?
Yeah, it's a really good feeling. Everyone's just so excited to come into the room every single day. I guess that's probably the best part about it. And winning is always nice as well. So that's a big part of it. I mean, just the coaches and everybody's buying in. But, personal level, I went through some injuries and all that stuff. So that's kind of tough. But I mean, just being in the locker room every day with those guys, it makes things a lot easier.
Year 1 to year 2 of being a pro, what's the biggest adjustment that you've kind of seen, just as a player, just everything, right?
Yeah.
There's so much of a change just from that first year to now, right? What, maybe elaborate a little bit on what that the major shifts, I guess, have been.
Yeah, I mean, just coming from college, it's a totally different game. I mean, I feel it's more possession, and college is more run and gun, which we still have to play with pace here and all that stuff. But that's just the big difference that I have seen. There's always these little set breakouts and different scenarios. I would say that's a big difference, but the speed itself is huge. It takes a couple of games to get into it for sure, but once you get that done, it makes things a lot easier.
As we always do on this podcast, we're a players podcast, but the big thing is just kind of the journey. I mean, looking at your journey as a whole, you kind of played at every level at the highest level. So maybe take us back a little bit to all the way from Caesars to juniors to where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long journey. Everybody's got their different ways to reach the next level. So, I mean, I started out Little Caesars. I played CompuWare 1 year. I played for Little Caesars for 7 years or something like that. So I went there, got drafted my 18U year. I didn't play U16 2 years. I went up after 1 year and played U18. Drafted in Muskegon. Went there, end of the year, did okay. Started the next year. And then around Christmas time, got a trade in. Went to Des Moines, where I spent 2.5 years there, and it was unbelievable. Great spot. You were there too, right?
Yeah. Yes, I was.
Yeah.
And Scooter, because you were on, I was, you know what, boys, I got to bring the heart run. 1999 championship ring,
No way.
Anderson Cup, Clark Cup champs. Not a big deal.
I love it.
Record 52-12 and run. Thanks for coming. Your boy was just he was a rookie then. He was a young buck, but what an experience. The Madhouse on Hickman, you can attest to that. What a barn.
Oh, yeah.
Just such a fun place to play.
That place was a treat. You could almost touch both sides of the wall just standing in the middle. So small. Oh my. Yeah.
Boys, I never played that high level. Only Greasy DC for this guy. I don't know how to resonate with you guys there. But I mean, Scoot, you're just an unbelievable guy. I've known you for so long, and I mean, after that, going into Des Moines, I mean, you went to Western for 4 years and then kind of ended your years at Ohio State. I mean, talk about that a little more. I know how much you love Western and how much you love Ohio State.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was at Western for 3 years. Andy Murray was the head coach then. Unbelievable guy, unbelievable coach. I was there for 2 years with him, and then my third year, Pat Firstweiler took over. And it was kind of one of those transitions where, the portal's open now, new coach bringing in those guys. So it just didn't work out my third year. I still loved it, every day going to the rink there. There's a great group of guys all 3 of my years. Pat Firstweiler is a great coach as well. Power play genius too. So that was a really fun experience too. Just such a fun school. And then I got in the transfer portal end of my junior year. Ended up at Ohio State. And I played 2 years there, and it was the best time of my life. I always say Columbus is home now. It's somewhere I want to move when I'm older, and that place it's my favorite place on earth.
Especially for the younger generation to hear mentors or inspirations. Did you have a lot, or maybe somebody that you really looked up to that kind of helped through that journey? Was it parents? Was it kind of people that helped you along the way?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably so many people I can't really name, but family is very important. My dad was a big help for sure. He played at North Dakota. I won a national championship there, got drafted by St. Louis. So he kind of knew the route that I had to take, just kind of how to play too, just especially playing for a guy, Andy Murray and Coach Rawlick, and those old school kind of coaches that just love a physical game and just being hard to play against. So my grandpa was also a big part of it. My sister as well. My mom, she's from Georgia. She didn't know much, but she was always supporting me. So, that was always nice. But I mean, there's so many people that helped me through the way that it's hard to say everybody,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we talk about a lot. Just the people along the way who've kind of paved our path for us and brought us to where we are. I mean, to kind of step back a little bit and move to Ohio State, little side story. I met Scooter at my dad's shop, never made a pro stock, and all the Ohio State boys would always come in, always try and sell their extra gear to Chad for some extra bucks, extra change to do whatever they needed to do. And I just can attest to how great he is as a guy. I mean, definitely I've become great friends with him. My dad is great friends with him. And it's just so crazy to see your transition from being a college kid and actually doing college things, going to class, to becoming a professional hockey player. I mean, this year you guys are kind of a wagon a little bit in the Atlantic. It's definitely so. I mean, talk a little bit about, you guys are gearing up for a big playoff run here soon, and just kind of talk about the culture and the atmosphere you guys got there.
Going to the rink every day is just, so easy with the group of guys we have. We have a younger group, and, the older guys, they're fun guys as well. And I mean, it's just so crazy to go into a locker room and, there's guys that have kids and wives. And it's just such a different atmosphere than, going to class and going back and watching a movie with the boys. So I mean, it's just such a different experience. But I mean, the group is so good. Coaches are awesome, and we're hot right now. We got some good goalies, so that always helps. And, we got a lot of good goal scorers in the team too, so that makes it easier.
I have to ask, man, for an organization that you are associated with, the Pittsburgh Penguins, what an organization with so many freaking legends on that roster, on the big club. Have you had the interactions? What's that been? And, from an overall relationship standpoint, and just being able to be part of such an amazing organization and community.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Just, during training camp, going to the rink and seeing everybody. And even in the summertime, I was there for a week or so. I just wanted to be there and kind of work with the skating coaches and all that a little bit. And Sid's, around the rink, doing his own ice sessions and stuff. And, he's coming up to you, introducing himself, and just such good people, especially him. It's like your childhood idol, and, you're face to face with him having a normal conversation. It's almost unbelievable. Just such a great guy too. So, I mean, just having those experiences and, being able to compete against him every day at training camp, it was me and Owen Pickering, we're a D pair, and we're taking 3-on-2s against that line the entire practice. I'm like, holy crap. going into a corner with Sidney Crosby and, trying to win a battle against him. Just such a good player and Hall of Fame player. And, it's something I'll never forget.
And just the compete level, right? We hear it all the time from the outside, but you can tell from a character standpoint how he's built. And I can only imagine you see it from the inside, and you can attest to the fact of how hard he works and how he's continuously working at this age just to be just as good as he was, and even harder now because he's older, right? So a guy that was trying to prove that he is still the best, which is just phenomenal at his age.
Yeah, I mean, just an unbelievable two-way player, right? I mean, the guy doesn't stop. I forget when it was in the summertime, but just doesn't stop. He's out there skating before us. Has his own goalie, own coach out there. Got to work with that skills guy a little bit, but I mean, he just doesn't stop, and his legs are just tree stumps. Guy doesn't stop moving. So, I mean, just a unbelievable leader. That's the kind of guy you want leading a team, and hopefully I can play with him in the near future.
How about Gino? Seen a lot of Gino.
Yeah, no, I didn't really talk to him much. There's different groups, every day at training camp, especially. So it's still tryouts, so it's, you're not really going out of your way. You kind of try and stay in your own lane and, not get in their way because, those veterans, you don't want to get in their way and be known as that guy. So, but I mean, everyone I met is, absolutely awesome.
I mean, it's so cool to hear that. I mean, it's just crazy that I know you on such a personal level and you're playing in professional hockey. It's just kind of crazy to wrap my head around still, even me being, and you being one of my athletes for the company. It's just awesome. And I mean, kind of flashing back to when you were a kid, I mean, you grew up not close to Detroit and the Detroit area. You were up there, and that commute, I mean, you said with your parents and everything, that it's a lot. And we talk about that on the podcast, the actual sacrifices that they make for you and your hockey career to be where you are now. And I'd love for you to talk about that a little more, just with, I mean, big thing in Detroit is they're switching teams every year. You kind of stayed loyal to Little Caesars and you kind of stayed with the culture. What kept you there? And just kind of talk about that more.
Yeah, I mean, the commute and everything that was unbelievable. I mean, I'm having to drive, or my parents, driving an hour, 15 minutes minimum every single day. My sister played as well, so I mean, I was doing those drives with her too, and she was at Melvindale area playing for Honey Bake, Caesars, whatever it was. So, I mean, they did it for years, and they never once complained. All they asked is that we work hard, So that was something that really, opened my eyes, and it just, I want them to see me work hard, and I never want them to be disappointed in it. And, it was always Little Caesars. My dad coached. He coached me there for 3-4 years, maybe 5 even. He ended up getting really sick. And then I wasn't able to, it just wasn't a good thing to stay there while everything was going on. It was just a lot for my mom. He was in the hospital for a lot and ended up playing AA at Mount Clemens because it was closer to home. Played like a year up or whatever. He started doing better. Ended up going to CompuWare the year after that, where it was closer to U of M hospital where he was at. So it just made the commute easier for my mom. And then he finally got out of it, started doing better, went back to Little Caesars with the Cirillos that U18 year, and, never looked back. I mean, just so many great coaches and people and teammates that helped me along the way through that, especially with everything going on with my dad at the time. And, everyone helping me through that. I just can't thank him enough. And, the sacrifices my mom had to make too. I mean, she was always on the move, those couple of years. She's a superhero to me. So just unbelievable experiences I've had, and even better people.
That's amazing, man. I mean, Logan said, the unsung heroes in this whole journey that we take as hockey players for us to be successful, and even at the levels that we played, I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Hockey parents are superheroes. The things that they shield us away from or not knowing, just for the sheer fact of us being able to chase a goal. I mean, we've all been blessed with parents that have been able to do that for us. So that's something that we all share as a community, right?
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk about something that's a pretty big decision for you that not a lot of people get to experience. When you're in juniors and kind of choosing a Division I college, first of all, being a great enough athlete as you were to be chosen and to even have options at the Division I level, what kind of goes through your head as a player when you're choosing the criteria of school? What made your choice, the choice that you made?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always knew that hockey was, my priority. School is important too. And, getting good grades and, getting a good, education wherever you're at. But to me, it was the coach and the atmosphere. So at the time when I was committing, it was, Andy Murray, a bunch of accolades, unbelievable coach, coached in the NHL, just moved so many guys to the next level. So that was a big part of it. And the next thing I looked at was just kind of schooling and do they have the degree that I want to go into? And I kind of went that route with it. And then you're looking at other commits and who's going where. And, it was going to be the kind of commits that were going into Western. It was going to be a powerhouse team. And we really were, especially my freshman year. Too bad COVID hit that year with, the season having to end. But I mean, we're just such a good team. And that was kind of the three important things that I looked at. And, you got to earn your playing time, especially in college hockey. Nothing's given to you. And, I went there with that mindset that nothing's going to be handed to me, and I'm going to earn every minute that I get. So that was kind of the important things that I looked at, though.
I mean,
how fun. Go ahead, Logan.
There's just so many things. I mean, Frank's going to ask too, but when you were that player being such a high level, I mean, with all the shit you see now with the CHL ruling and all these guys jumping from league to league, was major junior ever a thought for you? Was that ever a legit thought that you had?
For maybe a couple of days, and my dad shut that down real quick. I mean, if you went to North Dakota, I mean, it's, you know what I mean? He got to see that,
of course.
College life, it's a blast, and you're not going to major junior. You're gonna go to college, get your education, and enjoy it. And, I'm so glad he did. That's, like I said, my favorite place on earth.
What are your thoughts? Pretty good segue here, but what are your thoughts on this new CHL ruling? You played Division I. 2 questions. Well, I guess you answered the one, but do you think that would have changed your path at all, knowing that was maybe even a stronger possibility for you to maybe push Pops a little bit more? Hey, this could be something that I could go play junior in Canada and then come back and still pursue a degree? Do you think that would have changed your path a little bit?
Yeah, I honestly do. Just because, I mean, they offer good money and everything. That's always nice being able to make money when you can. So that definitely has a little bit of an impact. That could have, swayed it a little bit, especially, there's really good hockey over there. Great players are coming out of that league, especially the OHL. I mean, guys are signing OHL, WHL, whatever it is. Guys are signing right out of that to come here and play, and they're great players. So, I mean, being able to see that and play in that atmosphere, then, being able to choose, am I ready for pro, or, should I go to college? And it's a good thing for players to see, just kind of compare themselves to, especially in that time nowadays where I can go to school. And I'm seeing a lot of guys that are doing it, which is great because, I mean, I went to school as an older guy and I came out, old as well, and going into pro, it's pretty crazy to see now. But I definitely think that would have persuaded him a little bit more, being able to go the college route after that.
Yeah. It's such a wild time we're living in right now with all that. And it's really crazy. And I mean, you talk about your dad all the time, and it's so cool that he pushed you for the simple fact that college is for the experience and not just for hockey. It was more than just that. I was making relationships, making these things, getting an actual education. And I mean, putting you on the spot a little bit here, but you got to tell me, what was some of the best moment that you had as a college hockey player? I mean, you did some great things with Ohio State. You did some awesome things with Western Michigan. And just give me that pinnacle of feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, there's actually pinpoint, a moment. There's so many moments, whether it's going out with the guys or, just being in the room, locker room talk. I mean, there's so many good moments and just so many great people. But one thing that really stood out to me this is crazy, was the outdoor game against Michigan at Cleveland Brown Stadium. And it was insane. I mean, there was 40 something thousand people there. Your families and everything got to go on the ice the day before, and it's snowing, and so you're a kid on the outdoor rink. And, just to see that was unbelievable, and to be able to experience that, that's something I'll never forget. And then, I mean, just even the national anthem, the plane and the helicopters flying over. What was going
I have chills. I have chills, man.
It. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's standing out there on the blue line, and it's, what is going on? This is insane. Doesn't even feel real, But I would say that's probably one of the moments in college that I'll never forget, and so fortunate to be able to experience that game.
We have a lot of the young generation listening to this podcast as well, and it's amazing to have you on it and kind of just be able to detail a lot of the steps. But from a sacrifice level, as a student athlete, take us through a day of a Division I athlete, just so people can get a grasp of the grueling schedule, right? It's a lot of, it's balancing your academics as well as hockey. So maybe you just kind of shed a little bit of light on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It just depends on, what day, because you're playing Friday and Saturday. So just what day in the week it kind of depended on. But like Monday, you're getting in there early at, probably 7:30-ish, 7:38, going in there for a workout. You're getting your breakfast in, going in for a workout. That's about an hour long. Maybe there's some video after that. And then at OSU, sometimes we'd go to like a women's rink or whatever. So we'd get on our little bus and, go there, practice at the main rink. And, we'd practice for an hour and a half. Coach Rawlik loves doing some Herbies, blue line back, red line back. So we were doing those all the time, especially on a Monday. You're getting at least 2 of those in on a Monday. So that was always something. But, then you can stay out after for 30 minutes or so doing goalie work, extra work if you want. There's always, if you're at the women's rink, there's always a bus that'll take you back whenever you need. You go back, lunch is catered in, you get whatever you want. I mean, sometimes we'd get Texas Roadhouse, and I'm eating 8 rolls and a little steak, and it's unbelievable. So, I mean, and then, even before that, you're walking back in and you got smoothies lined up. You got whatever kind of smoothies you want. I mean, they posted it on their Instagram today. I had to message the nutritionist, what she was using, because I loved it so much. It was a Lucky Charm smoothie. And you got to send me the recipe. I forgot it. So I had her send that to me. But I mean, so that's, up until noon, you're at the rink, you're doing video, you're working out, practice. And then after that, it's kind of just how your classes are, scheduled out. So last year I didn't have a class till 2. So, maybe we went to get coffee or went back to the house a little bit to grab my stuff. I went to class, got out of there, maybe another class or so. And then next thing you know, you're hanging out with the guys, going to dinner, trying to find, where you guys want to go to dinner, best spot that night, find the deals, especially being in college. It might change, now that I'm saying that with everybody with the NIL, but, so that was basically a day. Then, you go back home and do your homework or whatever you have, or, find a TV show with the guys. I lived with 7 of the guys. So someone was always wanting to do something or watch something. So it worked out really well.
I mean,
But you just
to-
encapsulated everything that makes hockey fun, man. That shit to me is, and Logan, you can attest to this also. That's the stuff that we miss the
It's
most.
life.
It's the hockey and shit. Like, yeah, it's nice, but
And-
just being with the boys, and just like you said, just fucking around, waiting for what do you guys want to eat? I don't know,
Yeah.
Dude, I miss that. I miss that
Yeah.
so much. You don't even know. That's
Man.
awesome though, man.
I mean, just a quick shout out to Mandrake Rooftop and Big Tuna.
Oh,
Just two
yeah.
places in places in
Tuna.
Columbus, Ohio. Two places in
man.
Columbus, Ohio that the Ohio State men's hockey team were great visitors of. And just I've had the pleasure of not only getting to meet you, but getting to meet some of your buddies as well. And I know you became super close with Hallie at the end of the year. Frank, that's Stephen Holiday. He's at Belleville this next year. And I mean, I'd love for you to talk about your relationship with him. And I know he's an absolute grinder. I know that you said it to me, he pushed you more to do things, get out there more and continue fucking getting better.
Yeah. I mean, something I forgot to throw in there was, after class or whatever, maybe even before class, I mean, we have a big ass shooting room, with tons of stuff to do in there. And I mean, that guy is always in there just grinding. Even if somebody wasn't on the ice at the main rink, he's going out there and ripping pucks. I'm like, dude, don't you have class? Don't you have something to do? He never left. And that was something that, talking to my dad, it really opened my eyes. And, he's that good for a reason. And he got drafted and he's getting all these looks for a reason. And, that was part of it, his work ethic. And so, I mean, him and I would do that a lot, just go back to the shooting room, get on the ice extra. I know a lot of guys are doing that this year as well. Just the type of person he is too, is it's all hockey. And, he doesn't want to talk about anything else. He wants to talk about how, Bedsy is doing his toe drag release or, something hockey related, how somebody's doing something and just doing it so smooth and, so well. So that was kind of how our relationship started. And, we just kept building on that.
So another really, big thing that all players want to know, but out of this whole journey, what do you think was kind of the toughest part?
It's not all rainbows.
It's not. And when you see a great player like yourself and you playing at a high level, there's always that moment in any journey, right? Where you're like, this is hard.
Yeah.
This is an obstacle,
Yeah, unless you're, one of those high-end, McDavids or Bedards, there's not, I mean, they still go through adversity too, but there's not a ton of it, I feel. And just for myself, the way I play, I felt like there was always a ton of adversity, anywhere I was, whether it was, first year juniors getting scratched, first year college, getting scratched, stuff that makes you question yourself. But then you got to remember, you're here for a reason. They recruited you here, they wanted you here, show them that they made a good decision bringing you in and, put that extra work in, as Stephen Holiday would, going into the shooting room, just doing extra stuff. That was one of the hardest parts for me. That was just being, scratched as, especially first year of college. It's, geez, I got, more years of this, but, eventually you become the guy, especially when you show them that, you're a hard worker and, adversity isn't going to affect you. That's a big thing, coaches. And, just being a good person around everybody too also helps. So I would say those were the hard times, definitely. But, getting through that just makes you stronger.
Yeah, man. I mean, getting scratched is, I know all too well. We, on our last podcast that is yet to come out, we talked about my scratch stories. It's something that can really diminish a lot of things that you thought you were as a hockey player. And you say some great things there. I mean, being a great person off the ice. I mean, most of these coaches are really looking for how you're going to interact with them. And I'll say it all the time. Hockey has made me into the business person I am today, having to go on OHL phone interviews and different things that those guys care about your character and doing those right things as a person. And you were a captain, man. You were a captain.
Yeah.
You led the way for Ohio State. I mean, just such an honor to be able to wear a C no matter where you are, and to wear it at the Ohio State University must have been just so surreal.
Yeah. I mean, that was something I'll never forget, just being able to have that honor and, wear that on my chest and share it with Patrick Guzzo too, who's also we're from Michigan, both of us actually, me and Patrick Guzzo, and we grew up skating at the same rink too. So for both of us to be able to wear that the same year was something I'll never forget, just what an honor it is at Ohio State too. I mean, going to the leadership meetings, they're always trying to figure out, what needs to be done to, get you guys in a better position. Do you guys need more meals? They're always just trying to figure out what's needed and, being a captain, being able to talk about that and, try and help your teammates. It's just an unbelievable experience. And, wearing that C, I said, I'll never forget it.
The boys need more Texas Roadhouse. Some more rolls,
That's what I would always say.
steaks,
I know.
a little blooming onion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We get Jets pizza on the way back for some road trips. Come on, give us something good. Let's go. Raising Cane's.
Yes, best spot in
That's what
Ohio.
Yeah, none of this healthy stuff on a Saturday night. Come on.
So we're all about the boys on this too. Unsung heroes. We want to hear the beauties that you played with along the way that maybe haven't got the headlines. Maybe it's just, guys along the way that you played with that are pure beauties that just made that journey amazing too.
Yeah. God, there's so many. I mean, even last year, there's just so many good people. And one guy that sticks out to me at Western, I'll say Ronnie Addard. He was we were roommates for 2 years, basically roommates for 3 years. And he is just a different breed and, always a fun guy to be around, just a great person. And he was definitely someone that stuck out to me when you asked that question. And I would say, God, there's so many good people along the way. Last year, Stephen Halliday, Damian Carfagna, the Dunlap brothers, there's just so many good people and it's tough to say. Just so many memories that I'll just never forget,
Of course, dude. And that's about hockey. And when you talk about it, when we talked about just kind of your favorite thing, it's something that I miss so much just being away from hockey is just the culture and being in the locker room with the boys, shooting the shit, listening to music before the game, playing sewer. Oh, God, I miss playing sewer. It's just, those are the things that I honestly never forget. And as a player where you are now, just at the pro level, do you feel those same, is the locker room kind of the same thing? I know it's definitely a big switch no matter what, but it's definitely got to be a little more serious. It's got to be a little more dialed in than college players are committed, but pro is just that next level. It's your job. It's your livelihood. It's what put foods on the table for your family.
Yeah. That was something that, was a change for me going from the locker room where it's all, it's all fun and games, no matter what it was. You know what I mean? Talking about what someone did the other night or, you know what I mean? Just stories that, and, it still definitely happens at the pro level, but you said these guys are trying to feed their families, and I'm coming in out of college, just, and just not mentally ready for that, seeing a kid run around the locker room. It's what is going on? But that was something that definitely was, that took some adjusting too. But the guys are awesome. Like I said, we have a younger group. So, there's still, awesome stories going on. And it kind of feels a college vibe a little bit almost. So, that makes things way easier because, last year when I was coming in, I'm coming in at the end of the year. You guys are kind of looking at you. You're coming to take my spot, So it's just a little different, being able to start the year with this, new group, a young crew where everybody, a lot of guys coming from school as well. And just being able to bond with them off that, it made things really easy.
And you playing, everybody, just being able to play in the A right now, it's been said that it's the best league outside the NHL, basically in the world. And a lot of players, even on the global level, have said it. What are some guys that you played against that, again, cracking the NHL, you're already up there, but that little minute step to go to that, to stay in the NHL. There's a lot of players that have been playing in the NHL for a long time that are great players. Who are some guys that you've been playing against that you're like, dude, this guy's really good? And, and I'm sure there's a ton out there.
Yeah. There's some teams that's the whole team is what is going on. That's crazy. One guy that comes to mind though, that he has been played in the NHL for, the past half of the season, I believe. But Ethan Frank, I played with him at Western Michigan. I knew he was an unbelievable player. The guy scored 30 goals or something like that. And even his first year pro, he even got 20, 30 goals too. What the heck? Fastest by far the fastest skater I've ever played with or against. You know, I don't know. You guys probably saw he got that record in, you know, the AHL skills competition a couple years ago. Gates in the Hall of Fame, no big deal. Holy crap. But he's definitely one of the top guys that I noticed. That was, how is this guy not in the NHL? You know what I mean? When you're playing Hershey and you see him on the sheet, it's, you know, you got to recognize when he's on the ice because he's going to be blown by you if not. But
Yeah.
he's definitely one of the main people that I've, when you ask that.
I mean, coming down one-on-one, you got to be prepared for that. I mean, fuck.
Yeah,
that would be brutal. That was crazy, man, how he beat fucking McDavid's skating record on that shit. That's absolutely nuts. You have to have crazy wheels for that.
His shot's even crazier, too. I mean, the way he flicks his wrist, it's, what is this?
Man, it's just so crazy to see. And what Frank was saying, just that little inch that makes you that NHL player, just that something that you do in your game that makes you better. And kind of talking about player development and you developing as a player, do you think there's anything that you would do different if you had to look back at it as a youth career and then going into college and doing different things like that? And just kind of the state of player development. I know there's so many different things with agents in your ears trying to get money from you as a kid.
Yeah.
There's just so many different things, and there's just a lot of moving parts always.
Yeah. I mean, you know, just growing up in general, the one thing I would say is just play as many sports as you can. You know, just being an athlete and being athletic is, you know, it helps you in a lot of scenarios in hockey. So, I mean, that's one thing that really sticks out to me is, you know, I always had the shooting room and places to go to get better and, you know, that direction when I was younger. And, you know, the one thing that I would focus on if I was going to a school or something, that would be, do they have that, you know, shooting room that I'm able to go into and, you know, get better in my off time? Because, you know, 20 minutes a day or, you know, even 10 minutes a day, it adds up. And, you know, I'm not bashing Western or anything, but, you know, when I was there, I wasn't able to do those things. You know, there just wasn't there wasn't an area for it. And, you know, going to OSU, having that area, being able to get better for, you know, however long it was each day, you know, it just helps so much. So I would definitely say just, you know, if you're looking for a place, you know, definitely look into something like that too when you're making your decision.
Don't let him fool you there. He is a nasty golfer. He is a nasty golfer. And yeah, that's a big thing. And my dad, and I'm sure Frank, your dad said the same thing. Being an athlete, especially as a hockey player, is the biggest things. I mean, I know we're biased and all, but we're the best athletes on the planet. It's, you need the cardio of an MMA fighter. You need the balance of a person doing ballet. It's just something that a lot of people don't understand. And like I said before, just those minute things that make you better, just being stronger on your outside edge, being stronger on your inside edge. It's just crazy.
Yeah, especially the people growing up now. I mean, just enjoy the time away from hockey. You know, the kids that are, you know, the 10U, 12U, whatever you are, you know, do some stuff in the summertime. You know, you love the game, you want to get after it, but, you know, enjoy the other things too. But I'd say the one thing, if I could go back in time, would just be focusing more on my skating. Just you're saying that outside edge, the inside edge. You know, I did a lot of that growing up, but, you know, just doing more of it it's, you know, it's huge. If you can skate, you can play. You know, and that's something you said that just kind of clicked in my head. That's something I would go back on and really focus on.
Especially the game today, right, guys? I mean, speed is king. We're seeing it on all levels, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about. I mean, hockey now, even when I was growing up, was, you said, you know, playing different sports in the summer. It was, okay, season's over. Kind of didn't play for 3 months, right? You're just kicking back, playing other sports, maybe not playing any sports, but you're just showing. Now it's, you see these kids, specialized training, position coaches, different, you know, these kids are playing 365 days a year. What are your thoughts on that? I know you kind of elaborated on kind of playing different sports, but do you think that's good for the game?
Yeah, I would say good and bad. I mean, everybody loves the game. You know, you're not playing it because you don't love it. You know, you're playing this because you love the game and you love being with the guys and getting better. But I just think that's something that, you know, especially younger, it just might have burnt me out or, you know, maybe lost a little interest. You know, when I grew up, it was, you know, hockey, summertime hit, bang, I'm going to the golf course every day. I'd be there from 8 a.m. till 10 at night, all day, every day. 3 of my meals there. I mean, I played a lot, and that, you know, that was something I was pursuing as well at the time. You know, I just didn't know which direction I wanted to go in, whether it was hockey or golf. And, you know, that just made me, I feel, love the game that much more because, you know, I would shoot pucks and stuff when I got home at night, you know, late nights, and, you know, it made me miss it more. And that's really important. I just get worried that, people are going to get burnt out, doing so much for 365 days of the year. It's, you can step back and enjoy yourself and enjoy being in the moment. You're a kid and, you should, do those things with your friends or, go play around a golf or, and just enjoy those moments is the big thing.
A big thing that we try to establish for the younger generation that's listening to this as well is you as a pro hockey player, mentally, how do you approach the game, to make sure that you're always really dialed in on what's happening, but more importantly, always being better at your job? Because there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of things to kind of balance there. And how do you do it day to day? What's your mental kind of approach every day?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone has a different approach, but one thing that I just to focus on, I mean, I watch all the practices, I watch every little detail, I watch all my games. That's huge, being able to watch yourself in just different scenarios that, especially practice, because, you practice how you play. So that's really important. But one thing that really keeps me involved is when we're doing video. I have to imagine myself in those scenarios, whether it's me or a Mac Holloway who's, 5'9" and it can move like a gazelle. You know what I mean? Whoever it is, I just to imagine myself in those scenarios and, connecting on those tape to tape passes or, making a nice escape move, moving it D to D, whatever the case may be. That's one thing that really keeps me involved in the game every single day and just keeps me dialed in. But yeah, I mean, as a kid, my mom would always record me every single game. I'd always rewatch my games with my dad. And, that's one thing that's really important. Just being able to watch yourself and almost not compare yourself to others too. Like that, Mac Holloway, I can't compare myself to him. I'm 6'4" and he's 5'10", whatever the case may be. It's just not comparing yourself to others too. You're your own person. You're your own player. You bring an aspect to the game that someone else doesn't bring, so that's something I have to think about too, especially those times when I'd get, scratched or whatever the case may be. And, I suck, this guy's way better than me, but, you're not the same player as that guy. So that's one thing I have to remember.
Man, you have to be such Frank said, such great advice. You have to be such a special mind to be able to do that. I cringe at the thought of watching myself play. And I do, honestly, I did my whole life. I just never, and maybe that's why I never made it to the next level, is that I just never really wanted to see my mistakes. I was always scared when I got into the game to make those mistakes. And I'm okay enough now to be able to admit that. And that's such a good advice, kids growing up and watching yourself play. And we talked about it before, but not comparing yourself. That's such a big thing, especially with social media. You're not as prominent you're not that much older than me, but you're seeing these guys who are committed, going already on NTDP roster, getting invited to top 40 camp. And it's just, it can cloud your thoughts about yourself and cloud your thoughts about a player. Oh my God, I'm going to play against a guy who was just drafted first overall in the USHL. And it's something that a lot of kids these days don't understand, is that it doesn't matter who you're playing. It really doesn't. You just have to focus on yourself, and watching film on yourself is such a key to really figuring out what you can do better in the next stage.
Yeah. And it's also one of those things too, where it's, I'm 16 years old and, I'm playing and, I'll use the name, for example, Andrew Anderi. He was Jesus coming up. This guy was absolutely insane with how he played. And, before you know it, he's done playing and, I wasn't anywhere near as good as him. I didn't think at the time. And, I'm the one playing pro. So it's just it's so different. Just don't compare yourself to, especially growing up and being at a young age. I mean, comparing yourself, thinking this guy's going to play in the NHL because he's so good at 14 years old. I mean, there's a lot of guys that don't make it to the next level, even college hockey, and they're the best at their age, 14 or whatever the case may be. So that's one thing that really stuck out to me. I mean, you're saying first overall draft picks in the USHL. I didn't even know if I was going to get drafted. And next thing you know, I'm drafted and playing, and I'm playing over guys that went in, rounds before me. So I don't think anything that even matters. I mean, I was undrafted in the NHL too. And, still here, still one level away from, playing in that NHL level. It's funny because I live with the Rucker McGroarty, who, NTDP guy, TikTok guy, couldn't be more opposite of me. But Even talking to him, he's been through adversity too with, injuries or, whatever the case may be. And it's just so cool to hear other people's stories. And he said that's some of the best part about hockey is just hearing stories and, having those conversations with your buddies.
Real quick, Rucker was that guy I'm referring to in my life. Rucker was that guy who's committed to Notre Dame at 14. And you're going out against him. He's going to, quick story, quick blur. Tell Rudd I said what's up too. But
I will.
He comes back, red eye flight, him and Briskevitz from Youth Olympics. They didn't think we thought we were going to beat Grizz because we thought they weren't going to be there. And little do I know, they show up 20 minutes before the game starts. Oh my God, this is the worst.
He probably had a smile on his face too.
He potted 4.
Oh.
Right. All right. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. But that's so cool that, he was that guy growing up and definitely facing adversity through injuries and different things like that. And you were saying, it's just those guys don't. Bedard and Rucker was a chosen one from a very young age. And you just don't know the adversity that those guys face, even at the highest level. And that's just awesome.
Yeah. The biggest thing too, we talked about, right? We've all played with those players that were, this guy's the best. He's going, but it really isn't about that. And that's the funniest thing. Even as you can attest to this too, Scooters, you see it on the NHL level too. It's not always the guys that are the best. It's the guys that can change and mold their game and really be willing to change to fit. Right. And that's really what the NHL is. There's so many limited pieces and parts that it's really the ones that can fit into the puzzle to make it complete as a team. And that's where I have so much appreciation for you and basically each step of your career that you've been able to make. Because, I played juniors and we've all been there too, where, it's all fun and games. And then you start seeing NHL guys around and fuck, this is a real thing. This can be a job. This can act, and it kind of gets in your head. And a lot of players can't deal with it. They either make that firm decision to continue on, or maybe it's just not for them, or the funnel tightens so tight where maybe I'm just not good enough for the next level, And for you to be playing at that level and to be playing still at a high level is an amazing thing, man. And it's really cool to always hear your insights of being on the inside right now, because a lot of people don't ever get to really experience nor know everything on that level, the challenges, the day to day, but then also the fun. And with that, I want to ask you one more question before we kind of tag off here, but what's the funnest college story that you have?
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
What if you're still playing, so it's really more on your level?
Yeah.
But, you can let it fly, bud. I'm just saying.
Oh man. So there's so many.
Sid's listening. I'm just kidding.
I feel one of the most fun times I've had at school was we would do this thing, you have your, rookies coming in, your freshmen, whatever the case may be. And we would do this kind of case race thing, you know what I mean? And everyone's wearing their white t-shirts. So it's on a football game day. So, you have your fun, you do the race, the Olympics, whatever it is. And, you go around, everyone gets their white t-shirt on and, however many names you get written on your shirt, you're the winner or, stuff that. So, one of those days was probably, one of my favorite days of the year. Cause college football game days, especially at OSU, are just unbelievable. So many people walking around and it's just a great way to, especially as a freshman, to get to know people and, expand just out of the hockey team. You're talking to sorority girls or, just, regular nursing students, stuff that you're just getting to meet a lot of people. And that's what it's all about,
That's killing, man.
That's so cool. I've had the pleasure of hearing some awesome Scooter Brickey stories, awesome Ohio State hockey stories.
Yeah, I try to keep it Pete. I didn't know
maybe same for off the air since you're a professional. Since you're a professional now. But man, we can't thank you enough for coming on and just taking the time to chat with us about this. And it's so great to see that you're doing good. I have a lot of love for you, a lot of love for all the guys at Ohio State. And the last thing I have to ask is, hockey is changing every day. We're getting a lot more coverage. The Four Nations was crazy. Just your thoughts on the state of the game right now and where it's going and what it could be.
I absolutely love that. The Four Nations, I feel, brought so much, more light into hockey. I feel more people are wanting to get involved in it and, realizing how great of a sport this actually is. I'm so excited for the Olympics. Just seeing that fight with the Kachuk brothers. even if you're not a hockey fan, you're looking at that and you're like, all right, this sport is pretty awesome. So, I mean, I love the direction it's going in. I feel it's getting more and more light shed on it each day. And, people are realizing, we're not just hockey players. We're great people as well. The Sidney Crosbys of the NHL. And that's a big thing. We hold ourselves to a high standard, and I'm glad, people are recognizing that.
Yeah, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on. We say this all the time, especially with the guests we've had to this point. Just amazing people. Our whole goal is just building a hockey community, right? You're in it. You're playing. We've had a lot of players, post-player. We've had a lot of people doing amazing things, innovations-wise in hockey. But just being able to hear your journey, and a lot of people, like I said, will be able to gain a lot of knowledge of just people that want to quit. And it's hard. Yeah. It's really fucking hard. And there's a small percentage of people that even play at your level. And we thank you for taking time in season, especially playing hurt. Des Moines Buccaneer alumni, what's up. But no, we really do thank you. And I really do wish you the best of luck, man. Yeah. You're right there. And we can't wait to see you crack the Penguins lineup. We can't wait to see you guys win a title this year, man. So Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys. Last thing I want to say too, for those kids that you're talking about that want to quit or whatever, you only get one shot at this. You can only play hockey for so long. This is the greatest sport on earth, and getting through those bad times is what it's all about. So just keep moving forward, keep getting better every day, and it's gonna work out.
Thanks again to Scooter Brickey for getting on the show. So many cool stories, but more importantly, we talked about in the pre-interview, just being able to hear the journey and everything that he had accomplished to reach where he is. Well-deserving, hell of a guy, and great friend of the show.
I can't say enough great things about Scoot. He's the absolute man, just such a down-to-earth dude. You'd never know he played professional hockey if you just went up and talked to him. He's just so amazing, offered so much insight for young players who are still playing, and so many people just wanted to be involved in the game. And I know we were talking about playoffs in the pre-interview, but Scoot's in playoffs right now. Wish you the best of luck. That's a wrap. That's a bow on this another splendid, great episode of the Locker Room Life podcast.
Logan, we couldn't do this without our lovely sponsors.
Of course.
I know. Hockey Club, awesome. Best Damn Tape, Cut Shield Hockey, Bambino Shave Cream. Guys, we can't thank you enough for tuning in, taking time, listening to us. We hope you love it. I mean, that's just the biggest thing. We love doing it for you. But until the next one, we love you guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in.